High-stakes poker means high-pressure situations.
This is a tense, important moment.
The emotions and the adrenaline kick in.
I want to make the right decision.
Please fold. Please fold.
A little bit on edge.
Stop breathing.
A little bit nervous.
Don't move. Don't move a muscle.
I've definitely felt a lot of pressure.
Every move is critical. And only the best will make the final table.
Whatever you do it wholeheartedly.
There are high rollers, and then there are super high rollers. And here in London, poker's big guns have gathered to battle it out in our first ever £50,000 buy-in event.
I like London, I like playing poker here.
I love the fact that, you face off against some of the best players in the world, and it's a different brand of poker.
Honestly, if I didn't think I had an edge in the events, I wouldn't be playing.
41 players entered the tournament. Only the final 8 will get paid. Day 2 of the PokerStars.com EPT London Super High Roller continues with just 16 players still vying for a first prize in excess of £820,000. Last time, local lad Sam Trickett failed to capitalise on home advantage.
Am I out? This sucks.
Phil Gruesome blew his 4th bullet.
Not my tournament, I guess.
But fellow German Martin Finger also needed his toes to count all the chips coming his way. The last 16 are due back in the room any moment. They have just redrawn for seats around the final 2 tables. And right now, it is all about the Germans. They are crushing.
Most of the Germans are crushing. Phil Gruesome crushed his bank account. Guy bought in 4 times. Net loss, £200,000.
Yeah, this has not been a good tournament for Phil. Martin Finger, on the other hand, has had a meteoric rise today. He is the current tournament boss, and he is up at our main feature table, along with 2 other German big stacks, Tobias Reinkemeyer and Johannes Strassmann.
Only 8 of these guys will make the final table, and more importantly, the money. And to be honest, I'm not comfortable saying any of them is a lock. There will definitely be a German, though. Maybe.
EPT 8 Prague main event winner Martin Finger is relatively new to the world of super high rollers, but leads by almost 1 million chips.
To win a super high roller would be a really nice title. Yeah, it's maybe one of the toughest fields you can beat.
Johannes Strassmann took a break from poker and is now back on the tour, playing in his first super high roller event.
Some of the most brilliant tournament players in the world are German right now.
November 9er David Benefield cashed 3 from 3 in Barcelona and expects to go even better here in London.
Yeah, I've been putting a lot of work into my tournament game, making sure I understand all the spots. Winning this event would be great. I've never really won a tournament before.
Time to play down to the final table.
To buy something.
Well, billionaire Perkins, you can literally buy almost anything, and you don't even have to cash in this poker tournament to do it. Most of the rest need to win to survive.
Free money.
Funny. Okay, maybe not him. He could always survive on his mouth. And this guy probably with other parts of his body.
Well, the secondary table plays host to both Antonius and Negreanu, plus online wizard Christoph Vogelsang and tournament beast Ola Shemian, who's the biggest stack at that table. The tournament chip leader Martin Finger is on the main stage with fellow Germans Tobias Reinkemeyer and Johannes Strassmann, plus the businessman, Bill Perkins. Blinds currently 8,000, 16,000 with a 2,000 ante. King Queen offsuit for Tobias Reinkemeyer. Under the gun plus 2, he raises, makes it 35,000.
Too soon to call that hand the William and Kate?
On to Bill Perkins in the small blind. He 3-bets, re-raises to 80,000 with 8-7 of diamonds.
8-7 suited's a great-handed 3-bet from the small blind. That's good, but he's 3-betting an early position raiser. That's bad.
Reinkemeyer calls, in position.
And he's also given Tobias a fantastic price.
King 7-3 with 2 hearts. Top pair for Reinkemeyer, second pair for Perkins.
2 options for Bilbo Perkins. Check and play this hand for the value it's got, or turn the 7 into a bluff and bet twice.
Bill continues for 100,000.
Betting once and shutting down will be more pointless than a third Hangover movie.
Reinkemeyer calls. Turn card is the Jack of Clubs. Perkins slows down, he checks.
We know Bill's check is actually good in this case, but in general, I think he needs to bet twice to win this hand in the long run. And I imagine Tobias, yeah, is going to bet here.
130,000.
Which I assume he'd do with most of his hands once it's checked to him. Bill looks a little worried about being bluffed, but not much he can do once he gives up.
Perkins folds.
Well, at least when Bill sees this on TV, he won't smash it. But it'd be awesome if he did it anyway, just because he can.
Let's head over to the other table, where Victor Blom has opened pretty light. He's been 3-bet by Ola Shemian, and the action is now on Tim Adams in the big blind.
I like a flat here with nines. It's too strong to fold, and if you 4-bet and then get 5-bet, you're in a worse spot than a middle seat in economy class.
Adams does just call. What does Victor do with 8-5 suited? He lets it go.
Correct.
Heads up to the flop. King 8-5, 2 hearts. Adams checks.
This is not a mandatory C-bet spot.
Shemian checks behind. 6 of spades on the turn.
I think I like a check here from Tim, only because I think there are tons of worse hands that are folding and plenty of better hands that are all calling.
He elects to lead for 125,000.
Tim's range is so strong here, it'd be really hard for him to get calls out of ace high, and it's rare that someone's gonna have a smaller pair like now.
Shemian calls with the best hand. Ace of hearts on the river.
Probably goes check, check now.
Adams checks.
Nobody wants to turn their hand into a bluff.
Check.
Shemian checks behind.
Ace queen. Ah, that's good.
Normally, I'd chastise Ola for the slow roll, but it's kind of Tim's own fault. He's dressed like an 80s movie yuppie villain trying to tear down the teen center.
Tim Adams bubbled the last super high roller in Barcelona. Ola Shemian is now up to 1.7 million in chips. So we have a prize pool in this tournament of 2.7 million pounds with 41 players, 16 reloads, a total of 57 entries.
And if you win, you can probably afford the excess baggage fees on that trophy.
So how excited are you when you think of November?
Like medium? I'm really not that, like, I don't know. I guess I'm pretty, like, level, even kill kind of person. I think I'll get a lot more excited as we get closer, but I also, like, I'm trying to be realistic. I have 16 big blinds, and, like, I'm probably just going to rip it in, get called, and, you know,
Can go really
half
quick.
the time win, half the time lose, so.
Realism never got anybody anywhere in poker. Just ask Phil Hellmuth.
David Benefield will take his seat at the final table of the World Series of Poker main event in November. By the way, you'll notice we're currently playing 7-handed on the feature table. Sorel Mitzi was eliminated in 16th place. Well, the action here has been folded to Tobias Reinkemeyer on the button. He raises with ace-8. Martin Finger has ace-9 in the big blind.
I like a cold call here. Not a huge fan of a 3-bet.
That's what we get, a re-raise to 100,000.
I think in general it's better to 3-bet worse aces than this, since ace-9 plays fine against a button open.
Reinkemeyer calls.
Only jacks are better, Martin. Can't fold.
We know he's dominated, but he is in position.
7-7-9. Finger still ahead.
I think a bet here is totes cool with top-top.
He continues for 115,000.
And Tobias may peel here, knowing Martin could be 3-betting him light and could be continuing here with more air than a family-sized bag of crisps.
There is the call from Reinkemeyer. Turn card, 3 of diamonds, changes nothing.
A lot of folks aren't going to be able to keep betting for value once they get stationed on the flop, but Martin's got his finger on the pulse.
275,000.
Great sizing, too. I think he slows down on most rivers, though, assuming we get to a river.
We are going to the river. Reinkemeyer calls a second time. More than $1 million in the middle. A 10 on the river.
There were tons of scare cards that could have hit, and that's one of them.
Finger checks.
This is a pretty decent card for Tobias to bluff at, since it connects with his call range like a pair of jorts to a never nude.
Reinkemeyer checks behind. And Martin Finger will show us a winner.
Tobias must have felt like he was going to have the best hand enough that he didn't have to bluff at it. Aw, come on, don't leave your Uncle Teabag hanging.
Martin Finger now has close to 3 times the tournament average.
I won EPT main event in 2011 in Prague. Of course, I like the rush of winning, but at the beginning it was a little bit difficult because it was a lot of up and downs. But after Prague, I got a huge heater online as well, and live tournaments are going pretty good. It's just going well.
When it comes to tournament poker, Finger nails it.
And he still leads by some margin. Mike McDonald currently second in chips, with Bill Perkins in third. One player not on the leaderboard, Victor Blom. KO'd in 15th place by Patrick Antonius.
Blom's away. Knocked out by the OG Scandi online sicko. Handsome for a man.
Back to the main feature table. With 14 players left in the super high roller. Action on Bill Perkins, he folds from under the gun. Steve O'Dwyer looks down at ace-queen. He raises to 40,000. Ace-king for Strassman.
Ruh-roh.
He re-raises, a 3-bet to 105,000. Martin Finger in the small blind, folds. Steve Silverman gives up the big blind. Action back on O'Dwyer. And he's moving all in. Strassman calls.
That is a gross spot for ace-queen since they're both in early position, but with how aggressive these players are, I think you're getting away unscathed less often than a big-name guest star on an episode of Law & Order. Dun-dun.
Jack 10-3 on the flop.
Good flop.
That's a great flop.
Language! My kids could be watching.
A king on the turn.
It's not a really good card.
O'Dwyer with a straight.
It is a really good card, just not for Johannes.
Steve set to double up.
How much is it? It's 250 right there.
And this extra million I forgot about.
Perhaps I shouldn't have said that. It's a good flop.
Have you ever done a Strassman and angered the poker gods? Tag your responses, EPT. This is our 10th consecutive season in the English capital, but it's the first ever PokerStars.com EPT London Super High Roller at the Grand Connaught Rooms, hosted by the Hippodrome Casino. Now, all eyes are on the final table and a money bubble worth over £100,000.
£100,000, what's that in kilograms?
Sigh. Timothy Adams in the small blind. King 7.
Raising or limping here, both probably fine.
He's raising to 65,000. Christoph Vogelsang has pocket threes.
And with his stack, this is probably a shove. There isn't a range tight enough where shoving isn't the best play. Tim's even raised big enough to make shoving way more enticing than calling.
Vogelsang just calls. Adams to act first on the flop, which is 9-6 deuce.
More often than not, threes are just really hard to play post-flop.
Adams continues for 75k.
Now what do you do? Call? Sure, it's not a very scary board, but what about the turn and river?
Vogelsang flats. The turn card is a king. Adams now with the best hand.
Cool card for threes. Just joshing. And why would Adam stop betting now? Answer? He won't.
The only question is how much, and the answer is 125,000.
And he might get a call because this looks like a good card to bluff on. But no.
He does not get a call. Vogelsang folds.
I think if he shoves pre-flop, it gets through. Sorry, allergies.
Back to the main feature table. Blinds are currently 10,000 and 20,000 with a 3,000 ante. Martin Finger's under the gun. He folds. Steve Silverman also passes. Bill Perkins not interested. Steve O'Dwyer has 8-9 of hearts.
Ooh, pretty.
He's in the cutoff.
Oh, his hand looks nice too.
And he raises to 50,000. Ace-Jack for Strassman. He calls on the button. Reinkemeyer folds the small blind. David Benefield has 4-5 suited in the big blind. He calls as well.
All this going down quite normally so far.
Three-way to the flop. She's Jack 6 deuce with 2 diamonds.
Benefield's going to be checking this more often than a guy with OCD makes sure his door is locked.
He only has a gut shot. O'Dwyer, with not much, continues. 125,000. Strassman, top pair, top kicker.
This bet looks strong into 2 opponents, and it's a pretty dry board that Steve can double barrel a lot and get folds. Maybe not top pair folds, but lots of other hands.
Strassman calls, Benefield folds, heads up to the turn. It's the Queen of Hearts, so Dwyer picks up a flush draw and a gut shot.
This is a great card for him to barrel again.
Owen.
He shoves.
Steve's trying to apply maximum pressure, which, by the way, I think would be a great name for a Steven Seagal movie. But much like tickets to that movie, this is a hard sell.
It's going to cost Strassman everything he's got to make the call.
That queen put a lot of draws out there, and would Steve really do this with top pair or better? Maximum pressure. Co-starring Neil Patrick Harris.
A high-pressure situation. A big call for Strassman to make.
What I call?
He does call.
Good call.
But Strassman will have to fade a heart or a 10 on the river.
Sick feeling for Steve. But he's got out.
The river is another queen. It's Strassman's turn to double up through O'Dwyer.
It might have been better for Steve to bet small on the turn, then shove river. Multiple barrels are always harder to call, and the threat of setting up a river shove is sometimes enough to inspire a fold.
Johannes Strassman now playing 1.54 million. He moves up to 3rd on the leaderboard. Fellow German pro Martin Finger is still chip daddy with more than 2.8 million, a 142 big blind stack. Canada's Mike McDonald is sandwiched between them. Only one super short stack right now, Patrick Antonius. He's in the danger zone.
Danger zone!
But both Silverman and O'Dwyer are currently playing fewer than 20 bigs. At the secondary table, Daniel Negreanu facing a 3-bet from Ola Shemian.
2 fairly small stacks.
I'm all in.
Negreanu shoves.
I call.
And Shemian calls.
You got a pair?
Yes.
Oh, so close. Wow. Yeah. Good hand.
Yeah, with those stacks, these two were getting away like Butch and Sundance.
Flat.
Negreanu behind and at risk.
Good luck, Daniel.
Thanks, bud. Appreciate it.
I don't mean it, though.
Yeah, I know. Well, you mean good luck in life, right? I was going to go broke anyway. If I flatted, I think. Or, I mean, I might hit a 10 or straight. Yeah.
Drawing thin now.
It's been tough to get away. Bets, a ship. I feel better.
Daniel still needs a 10. 2 outs in the deck. It's a queen.
Okay. Good luck, guys.
Thanks.
All right.
Don't worry about it, Daniel. After a couple of trust falls and a Soygert smoothie, you're going to be just fine.
Shemian back up to 1.5 million. At just 20 years of age, he is 189th on the all-time money list, 9 career wins, and 30 live cashes. And in this event, he's just sent Daniel Negreanu to the rail.
Today I did well. I started off unlucky, and then kind of just bided my time and put myself in a situation to have a chance to win it. And the last 10 didn't go the way I wanted it to, but I'm totally happy with all the decisions I made.
I'm glad he specified decisions he made today, because he might want to rethink that whole millionaire matchmaker thing.
Back to the main feature table, where there's been a mid-position raise from Johannes Strassman. Martin Finger has folded the small blind. Steve Silverman's got pocket 6s in the big blind.
And a short stack, so it looks like Silverman may not even end up bronzeman in this tournament.
All in.
He shoves.
How much?
Not that much.
Sure, that counts a formality at this point.
314. I call.
Here we go again. Steve Silverman at risk with an underpair.
Pipped by the guy who helped Harold and Kumar get to White Castle. Unbelievable.
Silverman looking for a 6 on the turn or river. Close.
Straight draw?
Also close, but no cigar.
Again.
Playing with, buddy.
Again. Good luck.
Silverman out in 13th. Here's chips. Slide across to Johannes Strassman, an EPT veteran with 16 career cashes. Having returned from a self-imposed exile, he's making the most of being back on the tour.
Poker is a very mind-consuming sport. So what I'm doing right now is that I'm actually booking a couple of days more whenever I go to a tournament, just to enjoy the city really and get to know more of the people. Whenever I'm in a new country and I discover something different, it really broadens my horizon and I feel I grow smarter and as a person. I already have been for 5 times to London, so I know a little bit about the city. For me it's the vibe, and you have all those kind of English-style houses here and architecture, and also the slang of the people and the style. So that's what I really like about it, that it's so cosmopolitan. And you have a lot of opportunities here. You can go to the theater, to art museums, you can go and party hard if you are into that. So there are so many things to do here and non-stop activities. That's what I love about London. If this time I win the Super High Roller event, it will be amazing. I'm gonna make a big party, I'm gonna invite all my friends, I'm gonna invite you. And we can have like, you know, some drinks and a nice time.
Throwing some pony rides and I am in. I'm kidding, I'm in either way.
Blinds up to 12-24. Strassman with ace-jack under the gun +1. He raises to 50,000. David Benefield folds the button. Finger in the small blind has ace-queen.
I think this could go call or 3-bet. The raise did come from early position.
It's a 3-bet, a re-raise to 150,000, which gets rid of Perkins in the big blind. Strassman calls.
How much are you playing?
I'm playing 1.4.
Folks have been playing loose enough from early that there is probably value in Martin 3-betting.
7-4-4 with 2 clubs.
I think there's a strong argument to check here. No pairs would fold this flop, and he really shouldn't get value from worse hands.
Finger continues for 125,000.
Except for maybe this hand.
Strassman calls with ace-jack high.
I like the idea of double barreling here because it can get some medium pairs to fold. But bloating the pot with ace high out of position is a bigger recipe for disaster than answering your girlfriend honestly when she asks you if you find any of her friends attractive.
Finger barrels, 250K.
Ace-jack is legit the only worse hand that shows up in this spot. And both these guys think Martin's bluffing, and both of them are wrong.
Strassman calls again. More than $1 million in the middle. A 3 on the river.
Is it going to be a strawberry stack or a white flag? Guess they're more of a strawberry and custard.
It's the white flag. Strassman.
Well, we know what he's doing.
Checks behind. Finger has the winner.
This is going to be awkward.
Wow.
Martin Finger has just moved over the 3 million chip mark.
Told ya.
Thought you were bluffing.
I did.
Yeah.
Still awkward.
I was one worse than you.
Yeah, obviously. For sure.
Let's just ride this awkwardness into the break.
If you want to play in an EPT event, go to PokerStars.com, where there are qualifiers every day. Twelve players remain in the hunt for the PokerStars.com EPT London Super High Roller title, but only 8 will make the final table and the cash. With so much at stake, every decision is paramount. And earlier, we witnessed Johannes Strassman put to the test by Steve O'Dwyer.
The blinds were 10-20, and O'Dwyer opened up from cutoff, and I called on the button with ace-jack. And the flop came down 6-jack-2 with 2 diamonds. And now O'Dwyer continuation bet. So I decided my overall range looks weaker when I just call. Like I could also have like a middle pair hand or a flush draw. So on the turn there came a queen and hearts, and there were 2 flush draws now possible. It was on 1 overcard to my jack now, so whenever he has like a hand like king queen, ace queen in particular, or aces or kings, I actually would be drawing very slim to like 10% and get my money in very badly. And he overbet shoved.
All in.
His all-in covered me completely on the turn, so it was for my tournament life. And he's mostly not gonna be shoving there with worse, like with the king-jack, like a hand that I heavily dominate, or with a hand like 10s or 9s. Drove down deep in myself, and then I made this call. What I call?
Good call.
And the result was also nice when another queen fell on the river, paired the board, and kept me safe to double up.
Action on the feature table has been folded to Martin Finger. He's got 6-7 suited. He raises to 50,000. Steve O'Dwyer on the button has ace-8.
This hand is a little suspect to call on the button, but Martin's pretty active, so survey says, ding, call. Number one answer.
Strassman folds the small blind. King 10 for Tobias Reinkemeyer in the big blind.
He's got an easy call.
There he goes. Three-way to the flop. And that flop is Queen 7-4 with 2 diamonds.
Nobody smashes this flop, only Finger caught a piece.
Second pair.
And I think this is not the best spot for a c-bet.
Well, he continues for 65,000.
It's a hand with value, and if you get raised, it puts you in an awkward spot, like when the boss asks you what you think of his ideas. On an unrelated note, I can't wait for the shark cage.
O'Dwyer is raising to 180,000.
I love the shark cage idea almost as much as I love this raise by Steve O'Dwyer. It looks very credible considering his stack size, and he's doing it with a hand that's got okay equity and lots of backdoors.
And he gets a fold.
I think Martin would have been better off taking the free turn.
You chipping up. What are you up to, like 600? I think 800 now. Wow.
Steve O'Dwyer raking in chips like the sand in a Zen garden.
On the secondary table, Tim Adams has just bet enough to put Patrick Antonius all in.
Yeah, Patrick can't fold a pair. He's got like 6 chips left.
Well, if he does call, he's going to be bitterly disappointed when he sees that Timothy Adams has him outkicked. There's the call.
I got what I was begging.
Yeah, but when are we going to get what we're begging to get? Am I right, ladies?
Patrick drawing to a jack or a 10. 7 outs. Well, the king of clubs on the turn doubles those outs.
So many more outs.
And the river is a 10. Patrick doubles up.
I don't know why Tim's laughing. He may need a hug.
Patrick now playing 600,000. No longer the shortest stack in the room, but still in danger. Martin Finger still leads way ahead of Mike McDonald and Tim Adams. Line still 12-24.
You played $100, $200, the usual game that is running, from what I've heard.
Give me a minute.
Raise.
Let me play this hand.
Yeah. Good luck.
Cool or condescending? Tag your tweets, EPT.
Benefield raises the button with 5-4. 6-4 in the big blind for Bill Perkins.
I'd prefer to see a 3-bet than a defend here.
Bill does defend.
Sometimes you'll win it before the flop, and a lot more sometimes you'll win with a c-bet.
I think that makes sense.
Well, now he's got to check and see what the aggressor's going to do.
No, he leads for 60,000.
I'm less of a fan of this than I was of Season 2 of Homeland. I'm kidding! I quit after Season 1.
Perkins with an up and down straight draw. Benefield has flopped a pair and he calls the bet. 3 on the turn. Perkins gets there.
Straightenizing. David's also turned a straight draw. And luckily for Bill, he didn't get raised there because David had a hand he thought was going to be best most of the time. And luckily, he also binked the turn.
Perkins barrels 125,000.
With the added straight equity, I think Dave can call here. He's getting 3-1 and his pair is sometimes going to be good.
He does call. And the river is a king.
And whenever Bill's done pretending to not like this king, I'm sure he's going to find a value bet. $500,000 in the middle.
Perkins goes more than half pot, 275,000.
Looks like David's thinking about heroing.
I don't really know what to do.
Question, how often is Bill Perkins betting a pure bluff? Answer, probably about as often as he's picking up his own dry cleaning.
Thoughts, suggestions?
Punt? Call phone a friend? Oh, well.
I love this man. He is endearing.
What do you got?
Not a very good hand.
That's good. That's good news.
Could be worse.
If it's very bad, call.
I wish I loved anything as much as this guy loves poker.
Benefield finds a fold.
Sweating bullets, kid.
That's right, America, where we love guns so much we even sweat bullets.
Bill Perkins now playing over 1.4 million.
Folded a 10?
This guy, 10. Come on. 10.
When I play tournaments, I just kind of like generally float under the radar. I've always been more of a cash game player, and so kind of have a low profile, I guess, when I do play tournaments. I took a break from poker in 2009. I went back to school. I played professionally for about 5 years, and then I decided I wanted to finish my education. I think players have gotten a lot better. I think where I was at maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago in relation to everyone else was much further ahead. Now, I think I'm a lot more middle of the pack. Anytime you start to play in bigger and bigger games, you're taking a risk. The first couple times I tried to play higher stakes in cash games, I just got crushed. I got knocked back down. I had to grind smaller stakes to give myself another opportunity. But I guess I kind of always knew that I'd be able to make money at the smaller games, and I wanted to test myself in the bigger games. And you just kind of do that over and over until eventually you're successful. I have been playing poker a long time. I feel pretty confident that I have an advantage over most of the fields I play in. I'm on a pretty good hot streak, I think, in tournaments since I final tabled the main event. So hopefully that continues and I can have a good finish today.
We're now down to 11 in the super high roller. Paul Newey has just gone out in 12th. Back to the main feature table.
Nah, you had a good fold. You're stone dead.
I don't know what to think.
Listen to me, Smalls. It was a good laydown.
Benefield raising from the cutoff with eights. Martin Finger calls on the button with king-queen. Perkins folds the small.
Hey, where's the guy Bill hires to push his chips into the dealer?
O'Dwyer has ace-9 in the big blind.
Get a room, you two.
Jeff Gross, who was eliminated earlier, is Bill Perkins' poker coach. O'Dwyer calls as well. We're going three-way to this flop.
He was getting some amazeball odds. Everyone's bebopping and pre-flopping perfectly so far.
Whoa, something for everyone. Top pair for O'Dwyer, second pair for Finger, a set of eights for Benefield, and 95% equity.
If this flop had any more something for everyone, it would be a 1970s black comedy starring Michael York and Angela Lansbury.
Benefield continues for 95,000. Finger folds his pair of kings.
That's got to be the first time Angela Lansbury's ever been referenced on a poker show, right? I am ready to accept my award.
O'Dwyer, with top pair, sticks around.
He is in a world of hurt.
4 on the turn. O'Dwyer now drawing dead.
Steve could very easily call 2 or 3 times. Here comes bet number 2.
220,000.
The worst part for Steve is that if he calls here, there are so many cards that can come that will make him think he should call a third bet.
O'Dwyer calls again, leaving himself 458,000. There's 810,000 in the middle.
He doesn't really consider raising because if he's ahead, he doesn't want to fold out a potential third bluff on the river.
Oh, that's a horrible river card for O'Dwyer. He now has 2 pair.
Come on.
Benefield shoves.
This is a terrible spot for Steve.
Wow.
David could definitely be betting worse aces. He could be betting other value hands that Steve's ahead of. Sure, Benefield's got flushes and sets in his range too, but ace-9 in this spot, it's like an X-Men #1. Way too valuable to fold.
Will O'Dwyer call it off?
I call.
Yes, he will.
Some would call it a hero call. I just call it a modern-day cold deck.
And that call will result in the elimination of Steve O'Dwyer. Out in 11th.
Nice.
And very well played by David Benefield,
who's now playing more than 2.1 million.
Good luck, everybody.
Thanks. Thank you.
Steve brings his own tea to tournaments, and now he's just steeped in sadness.
Thank you. Over at the other table, Ola Shemian has bet the flop.
Cool.
And Christoph Vogelsang has called.
Yeah, I don't go folding sixes on this board pretty much ever.
The turn card is the 10 of diamonds.
Not a great card for Vogelsang, which makes it a stellar card for all at a barrel, especially since he picked up a draw.
Vogelsang checks. Shemian bets 260,000.
And with a double gutter, it's pretty rare that Vogelsang would fold until there's no more cards to come, even though hitting the 9 would be so not good.
Vogelsang has counted out the call. And he makes the call. More than $1 million in the middle. It's a brick on the river, the 3 of clubs. Vogelsang checks a third time.
Christoph could have lots of hands he's not folding.
Shemian checks behind.
I have a pair.
And it's good. Shemian loses nearly 500k on that hand. Christoph Vogelsang now playing a stack of over 2.1 million. Well, let's hear from the recently departed Steve O'Dwyer.
I had a pretty wild day. Started with a lot of chips, got pretty short, ran it back up, got pretty short, ran it back up. Yeah, I mean, I was just trying to stay active today. There was a lot of opportunities to pick up chips, and sometimes it worked out, sometimes it didn't.
So one moment you're heading for a massive payout, and the next you're heading for the rail. In this case, the tube rail. At least everyone gets to leave with their BFH, bus fare home. The final table is in sight. We are 2 away from the money. The bubble is set to burst here at the PokerStars.com EPT London Super High Roller. And at the outer table, Ola Shemian has moved all in, coming over the top of Christoph Vogelsang's button open. Shemian has shoved just shy of $1 million with pocket jacks. Vogelsang in the tank with ace-10.
Vogelsang is getting an absolutely terrible price. If you do the math, he's getting around 1.25 to 1. Ace-10 is a hand that's going to be dominated a lot. And this shove is for more than 20 big blinds. I can see why it might be appealing to try to bust someone and get closer to the money in the final table, but I think a lot of the time this is a fold.
I call.
Vogelsang calls!
Wow.
And Shemian just has to swerve an ace.
Can see why that would be a big laydown to make, but he is not in good shape.
Ace on the flop!
Also, wow.
Shemian drawing to 2 jacks or a diamond, picks up a flush draw on the turn.
There's some diamond at the end of the tunnel.
It's a brick on the river, and Shemian is out in 10th.
Brutal way to go out in a brutal position. 10th place. Ugh.
Yeah, I'm running good.
And Ola Shemian is running out.
We're down to 9. It's time for the final redraw.
Yeah. You call quicker?
Definitely bet calm. I don't even know if I call.
You don't even know if you call?
I think I fold.
Yeah. You fold?
And we are on the bubble. A position Timothy Adams knows only too well.
In the last super high roller in Barcelona, I came 8th when 7 paid. All in. In my head, I probably thought I was a bit of a lock to cash. And it was a long bubble. There were a lot of all-ins with the worst hand winning. Once you start thinking about the money, then you're just putting added pressure on yourself.
Is the 3 of clubs, and we will lose 10.
And bubbling, that especially kind of hurt. So I feel for anybody who goes through that.
Good luck. So the 9 remaining players have taken their seats on the main stage. Christoph Vogelsang is the chip leader. Tobias Reinkemeyer is the short stack. Next man out gets nothing. After that, everyone is guaranteed at least £100,000. Blinds 2,000, 4,000 with a 5,000 ante.
So if Tim feels sad for the guy who goes out and Tim ends up being the guy who goes out, that's going to be some exponential sadness.
Adams folds. Strassman with 7-3 of hearts raises. Ace queen of hearts for Bill Perkins.
I like a just call here.
He does call. Tobias Reinkemeyer folds. Vogelsang gives up the button. Mike McDonald in the small blind lets it go. David Benefield in the big blind has ace-8.
And this is why I like the just call with ace-queen.
Benefield calls as well. 3 players to the flop.
Perkins has now got 2 guys in spots where they're in bad shape.
And this is an action flop. Second pair for Benefield. The other 2 players both have flush draws.
That 8's not good for Bill, but he's got plenty of ways to win.
Strassman continues into 2 opponents, 150,000. Perkins quickly calls. And Benefield gets out of the way.
Fold's the best hand, but it often won't be, and when it is, it's not a huge favorite.
Heart on the turn.
Well, some chips are going in.
Strassman checks, having made his flush. Perkins checks behind with the nut flush.
That is weird and weirder.
The board pairs on the river with the 9 of diamonds coming down.
That board was saw draw heavy. They both should have been trying to get value from their flushes.
Strassman, likely to bet for value.
360.
Call.
And Perkins quickly calls.
He had to play it safe with the board pairing.
God, if I
Wow.
Strassman is thrilled because he knows he could have gotten stacked.
Nice hand.
Wow.
Nice
I was like, you
hand.
could have Jack 9. I was like, yeah, you can't be too careful.
Living the dream over here.
You're lucky you could have got faulted there.
Nice hand, my friend, over there.
The board parent saved you there.
Well, on this next hand, we are going to sweat with Martin Finger. We will only see the German pros hole cards.
All right. Love sweating with the Germans.
I think you would have minded if all the chips went in. I
Slightly.
think you would have minded
wouldn't
if all
wanna
the
get-
chips went in.
Yeah.
They almost.
All the chips
I
get in.
was thinking about
That
going
would be
all
too
in.
much. Yeah. When you have the best hand, it's fine. It's like if you win.
So Martin has raised an early position with pocket jacks.
Like what we're doing so far.
Action folded to Christoph Vogelsang in the hijack. And he is counting out a re-raise. Vogelsang 3 bets to 190,000.
All right, let's see what everybody else does.
Folded around to the blinds.
Let's see, Christopher. How much did you make it? Okay, very small raise.
So Adams gives up the small. Strassman folds the big. Back on Finger.
I like a call here. If we keep the pot small, we can check call several streets. I think people foul up jacks because they sometimes overplay them and basically only get called by better.
It's a low flop. Martin checks to the man with the pre-flop betting lead.
And by just calling, we let our opponent's range stay wide.
Vogelsang continues for 155,000.
This call is easier than walking outside and finding a pub.
Finger calls. 9 of clubs on the turn.
Nothing for us to be hating on. Pretty awesome board for jacks if we're not going to flop a set.
Finger checks a second time. Looks like Vogelsang will bet a second time. He's counted out 350,000.
Again, this is another pretty easy call. Easier than the trivia questions on the quiz machine in that easy-to-find pub outside.
There's the call from Finger. Nearly 1.5 million in the pot. 6 of clubs on the river.
I don't hate it.
Finger checks a third time.
No, I hope this is an easy-to-call bet.
That is not an easy to call bet. That is a bet of 1 million.
You are correct. Now he is polarized. I don't think he'd bet this big with aces or kings, so on the value side, he was either 3-betting 9s or smaller or some janky hand that got there or backdoor to flush. I do think that's a pretty narrow range, maybe too narrow to fold to. Let's do it. Let's call him. Martin, pull my finger.
He calls!
You win.
And Vogelsang mucks. He had King Jack. That was a big call on the bubble. And Martin Finger reclaims the tournament chip lead, playing over 3.7 million.
I totally forgot it was the bubble. I probably would have folded.
Meanwhile, Jeff Gross is keeping tabs on these guys for Bill Perkins.
Martin, I don't know too much about him, but I think he plays really well. I think Bill will try to play bigger pots against these guys. I mean, he's playing really well, but at the end of the day, I mean, these guys have seen millions of hands, and he doesn't play as much. So I think that would be his strategy, is to try to get it in pre-flop, maybe find a race or put pressure on them, because those guys aren't going to want to put it in pre-flop. So yeah, I think he'd do well against Martin, and I think Timothy or Mike would give him a hard time.
Blinds up to 25.50. Action on Mike McDonald.
All in.
He shoves with ace-jack.
Around 13 big blinds.
Pocket tens for Johannes Strassman.
I'm on it.
He reshoves. Antonius is out. Finger folds. Perkins. Mucks.
Good luck, Michael.
These two have met before. McDonald busted Strassman at the EPT Dortmund final table on his road to victory.
Good luck.
Thanks. Good luck. I don't really mean it, but
It's okay.
I'll say it. Yeah.
No, with you, I say good luck.
Thank you.
Mike's the at-risk player.
That's not the flop I was looking for.
Not so much.
He is set to bubble the super high roller. Unless we see an offsuit ace or jack on the turn or river. That is no help.
You hate to see anyone go broke here, but someone has to.
It's a £100,000 bubble. And McDonald is the bubble boy.
Okay, Michael.
Good luck, guys. Game.
Good game, Michael.
Mike loses his mic as we lose Mike. Poor guy, but what an absolute class act, taking it on the chin like a boss.
And we have our 8-handed final table, and we are in the money.
Congrats, everyone.
Timothy Adams didn't bubble twice in a row. Give him back his belt and shoelaces. And is it 1666 in here? Because David Benefield is on fire.
But it's Martin Finger who will come into the final as chip leader. He leads with a stack of more than 4.7 million. Johannes Strassman is second on the leaderboard. Two players are relatively short-stacked, Tobias Reinkemeyer and Patrick Antonius.
Always pretty cool to have Patrick at a final table. We have got an awesome lineup. Should be great.
Next time, 8 players, 1 title, and a check for 821 grand. 4 Germans remain in the hunt, led by Martin Finger. Will his fellow countrymen turn out to be friends or foes?
Nice hand as well.
Another EPT champ, a multi-millionaire businessman, and a November 9er also stand in his way.
Be a hero. One time.